Thank you, Mr. Mead. It is now 7 p.m., and I would like to call to order the November 14th, 2017 business meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Aldine Independent School District. I'll now ask Ms. Bourgeois to read the ethics statement.
The board has adopted an ethics statement that affirms our commitment to ethical conduct. The statement is, the Board of Trustees is committed to and shall perform its duties ethically and according to our core beliefs. We will model the highest standard of conduct. We will ensure that no personal value system or personal goal interferes with our duties as public servants. The public interest shall be the principle which guides the board in its deliberations and decisions.
Thank you. We extend a warm welcome to everyone present, and we're very pleased that you could join us tonight as we celebrate the achievements, review information, and make policy decisions related to the effective operation of the Aldine Independent School District. I would like to thank everyone for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us here tonight. Let the minutes reflect that all board members are present, with the exception of Mr. Shanklin, and if you'll add him to your prayers, he's recovering from some surgery, so we wish him good recovery. I see that we have visitors in the audience tonight, and if you have comments to the board and have not filled out the audience participation form in the brochure next to the agenda books outside, please do so at this time and give it to Ms. Loera on my right. The board will listen under item number 17 on the agenda, open forum for patrons desiring to be heard. At this time, we'll move to item number 5, which is the public hearing on Schools First, and I asked Dr. Alfred Stevens to come give us that report. So the meeting of the Aldine ISD Board of Trustees to discuss the Aldine ISD Financial Accountability Rating is now open. It is now 7:03 p.m. The chair recognizes Dr. Tamika Alfred Stevens.
Thank you. Good evening, Dr. Garcia, Dr. Bamberg, Dr. Blanson, members of the board. In this hearing, we will discuss Aldine's annual financial accountability rating. This rating is also known as our Schools First rating, which stands for Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas, and is part of the TEA's annual accountability ratings. The primary goal of the School First system is to achieve quality performance in the management of school districts' financial resources. Additionally, the School First system is designed to encourage Texas public schools to better manage their financial resources to provide the maximum allocation possible for direct instructional purposes. The Schools First accountability system has 15 indicators that are evaluated. Several of these indicators now have a wider sliding scale to allow a high, medium, or low point award for any indicator. Failure to meet the Schools First requirements under any indicator could have a significant impact on the overall first rating. The School First accountability system has 4 ratings that can be assigned to Texas school districts. These ratings are superior, above standard, meets standard, and substandard achievement. Here is how Aldine ISD performed on each of the 15 indicators in the Schools First accountability system. Indicator 1 was the annual financial report filed within 1 month after the November 27th deadline. Yes. Was there an unmodified opinion in the annual financial report? Yes. Was the annual financial report free of any instances of material weaknesses in internal controls? Yes. Was the school district in compliance with the payment terms of all debt agreements at fiscal year end? Yes. Did the school district make timely payments to the Teachers Retirement System, Texas Workforce Commission, Internal Revenue Service, and other government agencies? Yes. Was the total unrestricted net asset balance in the statement of net position greater than 0? Yes. Were the number of days of cash on hand and current investments in the general fund for the school district sufficient to cover operating expenditures? Yes. Was the measure of current assets to current liabilities ratio for the school district sufficient to cover short-term debt? Yes. Was the ratio of long-term liabilities to total assets for the school district sufficient to support long-term solvency? Yes. Did the school district's general fund revenues equal or exceed expenditures? Yes. Was the debt service coverage ratio sufficient to meet the required debt services? Was the school district's administrative cost ratio equal to or less than the threshold ratio? Yes. Did the school district not have a 15% decline in the students to staff ratio over 3 years? Yes. Did the comparison of PEIMS data to like information in the annual financial report result in an aggregate variance of less than 3% of expenditures per function? Yes. Was the annual financial report free of any material noncompliance for grants, contracts, and laws related to local, state, or federal funds? Yes. And finally, did the school district not receive an adjusted repayment schedule for more than 1 fiscal year for an over-allocation of foundation school program funds as a result of a financial hardship? Yes. Aldine ISD passed all indicators. Since the implementation of TEA's School First Accountability System, Aldine has received the highest rating a school district can achieve. This year, Aldine's superior rating is a reflection of the district's continued demonstration of high-quality financial management and reporting. I have sent each board member a copy of the report for their evaluation. Additional copies are available to the public on the front table. We will also have extra copies available for anyone not attending tonight's meeting. At this time, would anyone in the audience like to address the board concerning the district's rating of superior in the Schools First system? Dr. Garcia, this satisfies the requirements set out in section 109.1005 of the Texas Education Code.
Thank you, Dr. Alfred Stevens. And to remind the audience, the board has a study session on Monday night, and we reviewed this and had questions for Dr. Alfred Stevens last night. So thank you for the report, and congratulations again to you and your department and the district for this superior rating. We're quite proud. We will now adjourn the Aldine ISD School First rating hearing. It is now 7:09 p.m. Thank you, Dr. Alfred Stevens. The next item on our agenda is the approval of audited financial report for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2017. And so Dr. Alfred Stevens will present that report as well.
Dr. Garcia, Dr. Bamberg, Dr. Blanson, and members of the board, at last night's study session, our external auditors, Whitley Penn, presented the district's audit report for the 16-17 school year. At this time, I would like to proceed with my discussion of the audit.
Please proceed.
Each board member has been given a copy of the audit report for the 16-17 school year and had an opportunity during last night's study session to ask questions of our external auditors. The audit report they presented was considered to be unmodified or a clean opinion. The auditors stated that it was the highest level of assurance to be given on financial statements. I would be glad to answer any other questions the board has about the audit at this time.
Board members, do you have any more questions tonight?
Last night.
Asked them all last night, okay.
If there are no additional questions, I would like to recommend the audit be approved and forwarded to the Texas Education Agency as required by law.
Board members, you've heard the recommendation. Do we have a motion?
Madam President, I move that we accept Dr. D'Amica's, Alfred Stevens' recommendation that the audit be approved and forwarded to the Texas Education Agency.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I second the motion.
Thank you, Dr. Booker. So we will begin the vote with Mrs. Esparza.
Esparza, yes.
Bourgeois, yes.
Need yes?
Garcia, yes.
Yes. Booker, yes.
The motion carries with all members present voting yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you again. The next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes of the previous meetings. Do we have a motion?
I move that the minutes of the regular meeting on October the 17th and the minutes of the special called meeting on November the 8th, 2017 be approved as printed.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. We'll begin the vote with Dr. Booker.
Booker, yes.
Avalos, yes.
Garcia, yes.
Bourgeois, yes.
Esparza, yes.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the presentation of the academic report to be given by Dr. Sarah Tomey.
Dr. Garcia,
Good
Dr.
evening.
Bamberg, Dr. Blanson, members of the board. Fall is UIL marching band competition time. On October 21st, Aldine ISD marching bands participated in the Region UIL marching contest held at North Shore Stadium in Galena Park. Davis, Eisenhower, and MacArthur High Schools all earned a superior rating. Nimitz and Aldine High Schools each earned an excellent rating. The day is always fun watching all the marching bands in the area compete. On November 4th, Aldine Theater Fest 2017 was held at Davis High School. Over 400 students participated in more than 25 workshops and watched performances by the Shotwell, Nimitz High School, and Carver theater troupes. The day was organized by two of our drama teachers, Lindsay Johnson from Aldine Middle School and Jessica Jenkins from Plummer Middle School. In March last spring, 2017, Carroll students worked collectively between grade levels to produce a collaborative piece of artwork. This artwork was featured in the Texas Art Educators Association's Trends Journal. It's an annual publication that's provided to art teachers at the TEAEA conference last week in Galveston. And Aldine art was also exhibited as part of the Texas ASCD Conference Art Show, November 29th through 31st. A total of 12 pieces from Aldine were included in the show, which was an exhibition of art from around the city of Houston. Campuses represented in the show included Anderson, Carter, Worsham, Drew, Aldine High School, Carver, Davis High School, MacArthur High School, and Nimitz High School. It was a great show. This concludes the academic report for November 2017.
Thank you, Dr. Tomey. The next item is correspondence. Mr. Mead, do we have any correspondence to be read
Madam
tonight?
President, we have no correspondence to read tonight.
Okay, thank you. And then item 10 is the recognition of staff, students, and patrons. Mr. Abel Garza will make that presentation.
Dr. Garcia, members of the board, Dr. Bamberg, and Dr. Blanson. We will begin tonight's recognition with a special thank you to the Eisenhower High School, I'm going to try and get this correct, Flute, Quartet, and Woodwind Quintet. And here to introduce our students are Roxanne Stahl, Assistant Band Director, and Matt Anderson, 9th grade Band Director.
Hi, these are the students that we have from the Ambassador of the Arts program that we have at Eisenhower, and actually in the whole district. These students are mostly self-led, and they've prepared this music for you on their own, and practice it on their own, and with a little bit of guidance here and there. So we have on the French horn, Ashley Rodriguez. Flute, we have Diana Nguyen, her sister's the other flute player. We have on the clarinet, Kenny Ramirez. On the bassoon, we have Aldo Caniz. And then we have Josie Escobedo on the oboe. And we have our flute quartet over here. We have Andrea Cantor, Rosario Cardoso, and Crystal Nguyen, Diana Nguyen's sister, and Joshua Adamick. So these are... student-led.
We do want to recognize any of the parents, if the parents are in the audience, if they could please stand.
Do we have any parents coming?
Any parents here?
Not today.
Oh, these are independent kids, they drive themselves. Okay,
The band mom.
okay. Thank you again, students, you all did a fabulous job. It was, a lovely performance.
Thank you. Yes, that way.
Thank you.
Another round,
Thank
please.
you, Susan. Thank you, well done.
Now, before we begin with our monthly recognitions, I would like to ask Dr. Garcia to please come down to present two very special checks. I would also like to call up members of the Aldine Education Foundation to accept this presentation. Aldine ISD is proud to donate $10,000 to the Aldine Education Foundation. And here to accept that check is Mr. Jeff Hartman, Richard Cantu, Bill Ginder, and Seth Shar. Got the check. Thank you. We know it's in good hands. I got it. Okay. Everybody wants to keep the big check. Now I'd like to call up representatives from the Aldine Scholarship Fund to accept another donation of $10,000. I'd like to call up Seth Shar, Nicole Robinson Gaucher to accept the check. Thank you. They gave us back the check, so I will try and do my best with it. Now to our monthly recognitions. First, I'd like to call up Dr. Robin Williams, Executive Director of Human Resources. She will present the HR Employee of the Quarter.
Dr. Garcia, Dr. Bamberg, and Dr. Blanson, and members of the board, I would like to present to you Ms. Maggie Zuninga as the Employee of Quarter in the Human Resources Department. Maggie began her career in Aldine in 2015 as a receptionist at the Sonny Donaldson Special Education Human Resources Building. She continued as the receptionist when the Sonny Donaldson Administrative Building opened in March of 2016. Being one of the first people that our employees and the public encountered, Maggie represented the face of the district and did so in a professional and approachable manner. Regardless of the situation, she was able to assist our stakeholders with her calm demeanor and warm welcome. In September of 2016, Maggie was promoted to a clerical position in the Human Resources Department and primarily works now with I-9s and E-Verify process. Maggie is well respected throughout the department and is a delight to work with. As a result of her strong work ethic, the directors of the Human Resources Department unanimously selected Maggie Zuninga to represent our department as the Employee of the Quarter.
She needs to work on coming out of her shell, clearly. Our team from Child Nutrition was not able to attend tonight. However, they will receive recognition at a later date. Now, Jill Metcalf, Executive Director of Transportation, will announce her department's Employee of the Month. Jill. Okay, so we're gonna catch him next time. She's just here for the other big presentation. So now we have Edmilo Ortiz, Executive Director of Buildings and Properties. He will present the Building of the Month.
Okay, good evening, Dr. Garcia, Dr. Bamberg, Dr. Blanson, members of the board, and all in attendance. It is my pleasure this evening to present to you the Building of the Month for November from Buildings and Property. And this month, we would like to highlight an oldie but goodie. So, at this time, I would like to introduce to you Sonia Ramos. She is the head custodian, and I believe, did you have some of your staff with you? Or are you by yourself today? Okay. And Ms. Donna Hawkins, Assistant Principal of Orange Grove. I'd like to ask for them to please join me at the podium. Come on, there you go. Okay, I knew they were there. There they are.
It's fabulous.
Come on,
A lot of
right here.
teamwork.
Oh, you want them right there? Okay, right there. Awesome. So, as we know, Orange Grove is celebrating 70 years. Can you believe that? And it has been a momentous 70 years. Not only does Orange Grove do a fine job of maintaining its historic building, but it also does a fine job of being a pillar in the community for Aldine. So, Ms. Sonia Ramos, the head custodian, has worked in Aldine as a custodian for 12 years, 7 of those years as a head custodian. So we thank Ms. Ramos, her staff, Ms. Hawkins for their leadership. And on behalf of Buildings and Property, it is my honor to present to you Orange Grove, the Building of the Month for November. Congratulations on a job well done.
There. Congratulations to all of you.
Thank you. I'm so glad you were talking about the building when you said oldie but goodie. Our next presentation is by Stacy Smith, Program Director of Resource Development. Stacy will present a number of grants the district has received. Stacy.
Oh, okay, thank you. Good evening, President Garcia, board members, Dr. Bamberg, Dr. Blanson, administrative leadership, and ladies and gentlemen. I'm pleased to report on recent grant awards. As I call your name, will you please come forward? We have Ash Kirk, principal of Black Elementary, and Sarah Gomer and Hillary Volkman. There's three. If you'll take these and if you'll go up to the front. And then we have Jenna Morrison Adams, principal of Reed Academy, and Cheryl Zachary. And we have from Wilson Academy, Deborah Hannagriff and Victoria Avila. Very good, Deborah. And from, we have Rosalind Sweat, principal of Hoffman Middle School, and Jasmine Oguntuga. And then we have Lupita Munoz, principal of Olson Elementary, and Jessica Barrera. and I have a little bit to tell you about this group before you. Sarah Gomer received $428 for her printmaking project. Hillary Volkman received $998 for her robotics project. And also from Black Elementary, we had Jacqueline Aguilar, who received $1,217.44 for her reading and writing project. Cheryl Zachary received a grant for $513 for her Build It and Fly It drone project. We had Deborah Hannegriff, and she received $1,272 for her Paint Like an Egyptian project. Victoria received $632 for her Science for All program. And Jasmine Oguntuga was awarded $662 for her literacy project. And then Jessica Barrera, she had a literacy and math project that was titled ABC equals 1, 2, 3. So the group before you received a total of $6,212.44 for their Donors Choose projects.
Congratulations to each of you.
Will Maggie Doran, principal of Rayford Intermediate, and assistant principal Corey Jesse please come forward? Mathletics is a program designed to increase physical activity through organized sports such as soccer, flag football, basketball, and volleyball. Students will participate in skill development and league play. Students will learn about math concepts while working on athletic skill development. Students will write reports on the teams and games being played. Corey's goal is to create an experience for the kids to write, reinforce math concepts, and increase physical fitness. Good Sports is the agency that partners with donors and schools. Dr. Pepper Snapple Company has provided a grant to provide over $12,000 in sports equipment. In addition to this grant, Good Sports will provide additional free sporting equipment for the next 2 years for their campus. So there will be extra things that are not necessarily included in this grant, but today they are awarded a grant for $12,008.84. Congratulations. Will Chief Craig Kurowski of Chief of Police for Aldine ISD please come forward? Congratulations. Since 1999, the Department of Justice has awarded over $430 million to help provide safety equipment for law enforcement officers. The Aldine ISD Police Department has been awarded a grant to provide safety equipment. This grant is funded by the Department of Justice, and the award amount is $12,187. Congratulations.
It's a dance.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And the total amount awarded this evening is $30,408.78. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oops. Screen first. Finally, tonight, our program is being presented by the Transportation Department. Here to present is Jill Metcalf, Executive Director of Transportation.
Good evening, Dr. Garcia, Dr. Bamberg, Dr. Blanson, members of the board. In the last year, it's okay. So in the last year, the district implemented the Here Comes the Bus app, allowing parents the opportunity and the possibility to track the bus their child's assigned to. The district also built and opened the Northside Transportation Facility. So we spent quite a bit of time in the last year talking about the new in transportation. But tonight's presentation is going to focus on the old, the core, what transportation does day in and day out, and what it takes to provide those services daily. More on the facilities. We've talked about the north side. We have 33 bays. The district has 33 bays that allow technicians to work on the buses and take care of the fleet. We have the capacity for 86,000 gallons of diesel and 40,000 gallons of gasoline. We also have automatic bus washes that you can just drive into at all 3 locations. And if you've ever washed a bus or an 18-wheeler by hand, you know that this bus wash is incredible. To see what it can do in 4 or 5 minutes compared to hours, it's just amazing. Our fleet consists of 731 buses. We have 22 white fleet trucks, white fleet vehicles, and then 3 heavy-duty wreckers that help us go and get those buses when they need service or when something happens that shouldn't. Our departments are the backbone. They are the ones that make sure that operation runs day in and day out. We start our day at 4:30 in the morning, sometimes earlier. We end at 11 o'clock p.m. every day, Monday through Friday, sometimes later. We've had staff members that have spent the night at work. We have staff members that are called in on the weekends. But it is the departments that make sure these babies are getting to and from school every day. Our timekeepers in our payroll department, they're responsible for keeping track of all the benefits, the attendance, the time, you name it, sick leave, state leave, working with central office benefits, trying to make sure everybody gets signed up for open enrollment. We have, 965 people total that work in the transportation department. 792 of those folks are full-time or permanent employees, and we have 173 folks that work in the transportation department either hourly or as a second appointment, like coaches that come in and drive. The dispatch office is responsible at 4:30 in the morning for making sure that we have over 2,500 runs covered every morning. Runs, in case you don't know, what we generally do is we assign kiddos to bus stops. Bus stops are then turned into runs, and then runs translate into routes. So on any given route, we may have multiple runs. So every day, AM and PM combined, we've got over 2,500 just getting to and from school runs every day. We also operate 121 midday runs. So the Career Technical Education Department, they request runs, midday runs regularly. So we may service a high school, and we may have 3 or 4 buses that go over during third period, and we grab a couple of kids and we take some to this Walgreens, some to this CVS, some to another Walgreens, so that they can get the real life experiences that they need to work towards being college and career ready. We also take care of special education needs during the midday, early education middays, half-day pre-Ks. All of that is serviced through midday runs. And then we have shuttles between campuses. For example, like Eisenhower and Eisenhower 9th. We don't expect those children to walk to and from if they're in the band, or if they have an accelerated math class that they have to take at the high school. We have buses there, and we transport those students to and from those campuses. The students who play athletics at their home school that attend Drew or Carver, we transport those students. The kiddos that are in CTE programs that are not offered at their home school, we have a bus that will take them to a different high school so that they can receive that instruction and have access to the equipment that is available at the other high school. And then currently, right now, and this changes, it varies, but we have 120 tutorial runs. So after school, we know that middle school and high school, they're going to have after school runs Monday through Thursday. That's set and scheduled. But the elementaries and the intermediate campuses, they can request 1, 2, 3, 4 buses a week, and we build runs for that, and we service those campuses as needed. So right now we're at 120 runs after school. 35,000 students ride the bus in the AM, and about 35,000 students ride the bus in the PM. That takes 489 routes to get those kiddos to and from school every day. Of those 489, we've got 274 traditional routes. We have 12 buses that are dedicated right now to families in transition. The families in transition, we use that term in-house, but that is referring to the students that are classified as homeless under the McKinney-Vento Act. And so under federal legislation with the McKinney-Vento Act, the school districts are obligated and required to provide transportation of these students back to their school of origin. So right now we have 12 dedicated buses that are servicing the McKinney-Vento students or the families in transition. And those are the students that we were not able to fit into an existing route or an existing run. We have 94 special needs routes. And some of those being wheelchair, some are walk-on. We have 67 magnet routes. We have 30 routes that are running what we call alternatives to alternative schools. That could be High Point, it could be AAP, it could be Hall, but they're unique, and that's why we classify them as alternative. And then we have 12 routes that are servicing Yes Prep right now. Last year, under the McKinney-Vento clause there with our homeless students, or what we call families in transition, we transported 441 students, and that fluctuates. Some students may require transportation for 2 or 3 days, some may require it for years. But last year, we serviced a total of 441 students. This year to date, we're at 511 students. And let's see, out of that 511, about 411 of those students are Aldine students. The remaining 100 are students that they're homeschooled in a different district, but now they're residing in Aldine. So we have to share responsibility for transporting those students with the district that is in their school of origin. So in addition to that, we do our very best to honor requests from Aldine employees who have students that attend the Aldine School District. And so if we're able to accommodate, we try to do so, but we received 490 requests for employees, children, to pick them up at their parents' place of employment and take them to their school, and then return them in the PM. Application processing. A few years ago, we started seeing a shortage in bus drivers, and we knew that we had to do something, and so we picked up and started this application processing team so we could make sure that we were processing applications and getting folks hired just as quickly as we could and not lose them to other employers. So last year we reviewed nearly 3,000 applications. We interviewed nearly 1,000 people. We sent over 300 requests to Human Resources, and then in turn, they gave us nearly 300 folks that were cleared to hire. And so when we reach out to those folks, we make offers and we try to get them in-house. Most of the people that we talk to do not have commercial driver's license. And if you're going to be a driver in this district, you have to have a commercial driver's license. It's the law. So we work with those folks to try to help them and get them to pass the written pieces of the test, and then we work with them to do the behind the wheel training as well. This year to date, we have reviewed 748 applications, had nearly 200 interviews, and we've cleared 72 people to hire. Field trips, this is a big piece of the district and of what transportation does. Last year, we took buses on nearly 6,500 field trips. Anytime we take a field trip, that could be with 1 bus, 2 buses, 3 buses, 7 buses, but it took us just over 9,500 school buses to run all the field trips that we ran last year. We work with performing arts, athletics. If the campus has an academic type of trip they want to take, we do everything that we can to support the school district and make sure our students have the opportunities that they need to have and that they deserve to have. Our drivers in attendance. We talked about 4:30 in the morning until 11 o'clock at night sometimes. Well, we have the nursery. It's available free of charge to drivers in attendance, children. So if an employee has a child that's 2 years of age, all the way through 4th grade, they have free access to this nursery. And we have nurseries at all 3 locations and about 150 children. And we generally have a good time with the kiddos in the nursery. And the ladies that work in the nursery, they treat those babies like they're their own. And when you're having a hard day in the office, it's always refreshing to go in that nursery and spend 10 or 15 minutes playing with those kiddos. We have camera technicians and we have a fleet team. It takes care of a lot of the equipment on the bus, the non-vehicular maintenance type equipment. So we have nearly 3,000 bus cameras on our buses. Every bus has 4 cameras, and those cameras require service, they require inspections, and then we have to go out and pull videos off those buses when we need the videos. We've got 760 fire extinguishers, plus or minus, that have to be inspected and made sure that they have been tagged correctly and that they don't need to be recharged. We have to maintain first aid kits. We've got GPS units now on the buses that we take care of. Last year, we processed nearly 1,400 videos. This year, we're at about 512. We also maintain the fuel management software for the district. So when any employee goes up to key in and receive fuel, we maintain that database. That's something that our department does. And right now, we've got nearly 1,200 users in that system. The GPS, which is recent, that's within the last year, we have about 8,500 accounts. And those parents that have set up those accounts are monitoring nearly 11,000 students' transportation. So that's right about a third of the kiddos that are riding these buses. Their parents or someone that is looking out for them is monitoring those buses. The shop repairs and maintains buses rolling nearly 7.5 million miles. So we roll nearly 7.5 million miles annually. That's based on last year's mileage. The bulk of those miles comes from regular education routes, just over 5 million. Then we've got our special needs mileage, field trips, and then we accumulate mileage just through training, inspections, test driving the buses, and then taking the buses to DPS for examinations. It takes a lot to get the shop rolling, and it takes a lot to keep those buses rolling. And we process and we go through about 5,500 invoices annually. Most of the invoices that the department goes through, I hate to use the word spend, but most of the money that we spend, it comes through the shop to make sure that those buses are able to stay on the road. And on any given day, if we have tires on all of our buses, all of our white fleet, you're looking at just about 4,500 tires just to equip the transportation fleet. The Training Academy, which I referenced earlier, the Training Academy does it all. We do pre-employment training for folks that do not even work for the district yet, but we're going to help them pass those tests so that we can bring them on. So if we have a candidate that we think is qualified to do the job, we're going to take them in under our wing and we're going to help them. And then we're going to train them on a bus and we're going to help them get their CDL. We'll show up at 6 o'clock, 4:30 in the morning to get that spot at DPS. Then they go through an orientation program and then they're route trained. Last year, we had 110 new CDL trainees that we worked with, and we were able to bring on 131 new drivers. So you see that we did bring on some folks that already had a CDL. And this year, right now, we've gone through 72 new folks that have worked with us to help get their CDL. Doesn't mean that they've acquired their CDL, but we've worked with them to help them. But we've only been able to bring on 53 new drivers. One of the problems that we've seen is DPS, the time it takes for us to get a driving appointment and get that assessment, it can be 2.5 months out. And when somebody is looking for a job and they want a paycheck, 2 months is a long time to wait. And so what we've done is we've been working with DPS to train our own person, and we've sent one of our own folks over to DPS to be trained so that we can do our own in-house examinations. And there are special rules that we have to follow, but we are very close to wrapping that process up. We just have to get our course approved. But our trainer is certified and approved to do that in-house. We're just working on getting our course approved. And I have the administrative staff here with us tonight. And if you guys will stand up. We've got Mike Houston, he's director. Jack Mann, director. Assistant directors, we've got Tina Riojas, Willie Kelly, Mario Williams, Alfred DeBose, and Teddy Nelson here with us tonight.
Board members, anybody want to comment? That was a very informative presentation, Dr. Metcalf, and thank you to the team that you have here with you, and we certainly do want to extend through each of you our congratulations and our thanks to all of the people in your department who do such a fabulous job every single day for our students. Thank you very much. Anybody else have any comments?
I just wanted to thank them for keeping our kids safe. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Dr. Garcia, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Garza. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. The board has had the consent agenda items in their possession for study, and we discussed them at length at the study session last night. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to the consent agenda items to be voted on by the board tonight? Okay, if not, do I hear a motion regarding the consent agenda items?
I move that all items under A through J on the consent agenda be approved as printed.
I second.
Thank you. Thank you both. We'll begin the vote with Mrs. Esparza.
Esparza, yes.
Bourgeois, yes.
Mead, yes?
Garcia, yes?
Avalos, yes.
Booker, yes.
Thank you. The item 13 is consideration of an offer of settlement in an EEOC charge number 460-217-02747. This item was discussed last night. Do I hear a motion regarding this settlement?
I move that we decline the offer of settlement in EEOC charge number 460-2017-20747 as discussed in closed session.
I second the motion, Madam President.
Thank you. We'll begin the vote with Dr. Booker.
Booker, yes.
Avalos, yes.
Garcia, yes?
Mead, yes?
Bourgeois, yes.
Esparza, yes.
Okay, thank you. That motion was passed. The next item is a report of the administrative staff, promotions and appointments. Dr. Bamberg, do you have staff recognitions tonight?
Yes, ma'am, we have two. First, we want to recognize Alexia Rogers, who is moving from her current position as Director of Accounting in the Finance Department to Executive Director of Finance. Ms. Rogers has a Bachelor of Business Administration in Accounting, which she received in 1988 from the University of Texas in Austin. And she began her experience in 1988 as a staff auditor, with Price Waterhouse here in Houston. She was also a financial accounting officer at Texas Commerce Bank from 1989 to 1994, a credit risk management associate vice president at Chase Bank from 1994 to 2000. And then she took a little break to raise children, and then she was a construction accountant in Cypher ISD, and from 2012 to 2014. She joined the Aldine staff in 2014 and has been an accountant with us before moving to her director position, but now moving to executive director of finance. So Ms. Rogers has 17 years of experience, with 3 of those years in Aldine ISD. And I believe you brought some family to recognize.
Ma'am, I did. My husband, Bud, and my older daughter, Erin, and my younger daughter couldn't make it tonight, but I'm just so appreciative of them and their support that they give me every day. And I also want to mention my boss, Dr. Tamika Stevens, and I'm so appreciative of this opportunity that he's given me. I will definitely do my best as much as I can and just try to be as successful as possible. But I appreciate your leadership and encouragement as well.
Well, congratulations on your new position and welcome to you all. Thank you. And next, we want to recognize Antoinette Hart, who is moving from literacy coach at Caraway Intermediate to assistant principal at Black Elementary. Ms. Hart has a Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice, which she received from Mississippi Valley State University in 1995, a Master of Education in Educational Administration from Prairie View University in 2008. And she started her experience in Minneapolis in 1997 as a behavior interventionist. She moved to the McGee Institute of Technology as a teacher in St. Paul, Minneapolis in 2001 to 2004, St. Paul, Minnesota in 2001. And then she came to Aldine, got here as fast as she could in 2004. She spent a year at Goodman Elementary, and then she moved to Harris, and spent from year 2005 to 2014, and then moved to Odom as a skill specialist from 2014 to 2017 before she moved into her literacy coach position. So Ms. Hart has a total of 16 years of experience, with 13 of those years in Aldine. And so congratulations in your position, and I believe you've brought some family to introduce to us tonight.
I brought my husband, Eddie, my and colleagues, so it's been a long journey, and I'm so happy to be here.
Well, very good. Congratulations to you, and welcome to everyone. And Dr. Garcia, that concludes my report for this evening.
All right, thank you, Dr. Van Berg, and congratulations to the two of you, and best wishes. Work hard. The next item is the approval of board procedures for the upcoming superintendent search. The board has met to discuss the procedures for the search, and on Wednesday, November the 15th, a request for proposal from superintendent search firms will be posted, and the proposals will be due to the office here on November the 27th, 2017. The board will review those submissions in hopes of selecting a firm to be approved at the December 19th board meeting. Board members, do I hear a motion regarding the approval of the board procedures for the upcoming superintendent search?
Madam President, I move that the board approve the board procedures for the upcoming superintendent search as stated.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. We'll begin the vote with Dr. Booker.
Booker, yes.
Avalos, yes.
Garcia, yes.
Mead, yes.
Bourgeois, yes.
Esparza, yes.
Thank you. And so that motion is approved. The next item is board committee reports. We have a nominating committee report for the election of the 2018 board officers. Each year, the board reorganizes in December with a new president, vice president, secretary, and assistant secretary to serve as officers for 1 year. In November, the board nominating committee presents a slate of officers for approval by the full board in the regular business meeting. Nominations from the committee are based on board members' skills and availability for the position for the upcoming year. I would like to call on Steve Mead, committee chair, to share the report of the trustees nomination committee and the board officers slate for 2018.
The nominating committee members were Ms. Rose Avalos, Ms. Kanya Esparza, and myself. The committee unanimously recommends the following slate of officers for your approval. President, Steve Mead. Vice President, Paul Shanklin. Secretary, Rose Avalos, and Assistant Secretary, Kanya Esparza.
Thank you, Mr. Mead. Do I hear a motion regarding this, the slate of officers?
I move that this slate be elected as our Board of Trustees officers for the new year.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you.
Esparza, second.
Thank you. We'll begin the vote with Mrs. Esparza.
Esparza, yes.
I abstain.
Mead, yes.
Garcia, yes.
Avalos, yes.
Booker, yes.
Okay, thank you. That motion passes. The next item on the agenda is the open forum for patrons desiring to be heard, and we have one submission, board members. This is a portion of the board meeting when the board receives input from patrons. Each person who addresses the board will have 3 minutes to speak on his or her issue. There is a clock at the podium that will notify you when your 3 minutes are almost up. Because of topic posting requirements of the Open Meetings Act, board members will not answer any questions posed to the board by the patron, and no action can be taken on any issue presented during this time. If you wish to ask questions of the board, you may submit them in writing addressed to the superintendent's office, and the board may consider them at a subsequent meeting. If you are an employee or an employee's representative, please be advised that the grievance policy deadlines are not waived. If you have documents to pass out to the board, please identify those documents. Finally, please be aware that rules of decorum will be enforced during the public comment period. Please refrain from making comments directed at specific individual employees or students by name to avoid any potential breach of confidentiality. If you have complaints regarding specific individuals, please provide those in writing addressed to the superintendent for her attention. Each participant is legally responsible for the content and the consequences of his or her own statements. So I believe it's Cardis?
Candace.
Oh, I'm sorry, Candace. Candace Houston, please step up. I'm sorry.
Good evening, Board. I am before you as a career technology education teacher. I was at the study session last night, and it disturbed me when we heard about the stage 4 scoring that we have of CTE teachers when it comes to SPED department. And you guys are not aware of, as a CTE teacher, what we deal with in our classroom. Number one, we don't really receive paras in our classrooms. Many of us teach more than 2 preps. And as House Bill 5 is increasing more courses, many of your CTE teachers are teaching 3 to 4 preps. I currently have 4 preps, but I get no special ed support. But you want us to score high in special ed and CTE department, but we receive very minimum special ed support. Currently, many of our courses are online. We have purchased online textbooks. And I just gave a test to my students, and we did a training before the test. My SPED 504 LEP, they scored high on the training, but the actual test, they failed. So I took it upon myself to contact my campus SPED coordinator and say, hey, do you have a teacher I can go to come help me look at this curriculum, to show me how to modify it for my SPED teachers? My response was, anybody, but that's not what I wanted. I needed to know who is your top SPED person so I can go to them so they can look at my curriculum to tell me where I can modify. That is not happening in this district. I was a PLC presenter at our last staff development for my BIM group, and we understood the language between BICS and CALP because that was my job, but there are no SPED teachers there to look at our curriculum and say, hey, this is what you guys can do to modify. We need hands-on, not these PowerPoints. We need hands-on, and we need support in our classes. We have one campus where it's 2 paras that come into the CTE classrooms, a half a day at one campus and a half a day at another campus. So our high schools are not being supported for SPED when it comes to the CTE department. If you want our scores to improve, you got to improve that support. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Board members, that brings us to item 18, adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Excuse me, I would like to make a statement before we adjourn, and I please don't want to be interrupted.
Do we have
We have to, is it on
Excuse
the
me,
posted item?
since my election to the Aldine Board of Education in 2013, I'm being bullied,
Is it
vilified,
posted?
stalked, and racially discriminated against by certain members of this board. At this point in my tenure, all their personal attacks against me pose a threat to my physical well-being. In the event of my sudden death due to a stroke or heart attack, I will hold this current Aldine Board responsible. I have instructed my family to seek legal recourse against the Aldine Board of Education in the event of my untimely demise.
Is there someone make the motion?
I made a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mead. Was there a second?
A second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The meeting is adjourned. It is 7:58. Thank you.
Deal with that.
Oh, my goodness.